daggone thing. So anyway, where was I? So yeah, so that was like my childhood. Like we had fun. Like we played kickball, and when we played kickball, we played hard. I remember back in the day, they used to call me Sonic because I can run so fast. And when we would play kickball, I remember people used to be playing, and the guys would be like, "Man, don't play, man, because you know she run quick. You know she real fast." And I used to dust them. Like I used to run. Like my dad used to. I told y'all the story about that. My dad used to race me against boys when I was younger. I mean, I used to run. I thought when I got in high school, I was going to run track, but instead I ended up being a cheerleader. I ended up being a flyer on that. So, but yeah, like in my childhood, like we had fun. We went outside and we had fun. Like we had fun. I'll never forget this one time, and I think I shared this story. I'm not sure. I'll never forget this one time. This the whole Shady Side crew. We decided to go in the woods. It was me. And see, I guess you would have called me a tomboy back in the day because I didn't dress like one. I still dressed like a girl, but I was out there still like playing football. I was out there still like having fun. And I remember some people asking me like, "You a tomboy?" And I'm like, "No. I just like having fun. I like flipping and having fun." But then I got, I grew out of it. But anyway, I remember one time it was a group of us. It was Maurice. I remember Andre. I remember like we were like the Misfits. If you ever seen like the Sandlot, that's how we were. You know what I mean? And I remember, what's up with all of this storming stuff out here? Goodness. Ooh, they done took somebody's, them cameras are not playing. Whoever speed, they got that nice ticket. Thank you, camera. As long as you didn't give me a ticket. But anyway, I remember it was a group of us, and we decided to go in the woods that was like in the back of our complex. So we walking in the woods, and I was the only girl. And we are going through the woods, right? And I'll never forget, when we were in the woods, we looked like we came across something that looked like a castle. It was like the brick structure was there, but nothing else was there. And it got to the point where all of us felt like, okay, Maurice was like, "I know the way, I know what's going on." And we were going through tunnels and everything. And the guys, they were like brothers to me. They were kind of like helping me over certain stuff. But it was like we was like literally venturing out. And I think at one point in time, we all, because one of the, Andre was like, "Man, you got us lost." And he was like, no, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. And when I tell you, y'all, it was like we were entering in the woods and we were going deeper and deeper. And we all felt like, where are we? You know what I mean? We saw some old ruins. We saw an old ruined house that looked like it was burnt down. We never even seen this house before. But now we kind of like lost our bearings because, back then you didn't have cell phones. You couldn't call your mother and be like, "We're here." So we were just going deeper and deeper into the woods. We felt like we were. And Maurice was like the oldest out the bunch, and he was like, "No, I know where I'm going. I know where we at. I know where we at." And y'all, we was just climbing over stuff, going over streams, going through branches, and I mean, we were just in the woods. You know what I mean? I'll never forget. We heard like a car go by. Y'all, we ended up going through some woods. And you would have thought, this part, I felt like it was the Goonies or something like that. Because we came across I wouldn't say it's a highway. I guess it's a highway, Pennsylvania Avenue. And we were all jumping up and down, and we was running towards the daggone street like, we know where we're at. We know where we're at. And we were just jumping up and down. And I remember somebody was like, "Thank you, God." And we were all, it had to be like 9 of us. And we were all in the streets like we know what we at. So we took the, so basically we just followed the road back to our houses. But that was like an adventure to us. Like that's the type of stuff we did when we were younger. You know, our parents would probably spanked our behinds for walking in the woods and stuff like that. Like, who did we think we were? And me especially. Like, come on now. But when I tell you, when we heard that road and we saw Pennsylvania Avenue, it was not Pennsylvania Avenue. It's Pennsylvania Avenue on the Maryland side. We went running out. It was like, yay! Dude was kissing the daggone street. Like, we was just so happy that we not in the wilderness. We are literally like right around the corner from our houses. But I just remember that, you know, I remember playing double dutch. I remember, you know, they'd be like, it's my go. You get 3 goes. You get 3 goes. And you better hope you can jump, because if you can't go, then it's go to the next person. And somebody, and they always get the one, if you don't know how to turn, if you double-handed, they are not going to let you turn. Okay? And somebody always brought out their rope, or somebody always had it, and somebody was always showing off like you had to even it out, you know what I mean? But if you really wanted to be really like ghetto with it, you get a really long, what was those phone cords that you could get from the Dollar Tree, with a dollar store that day. But yeah, like, I remember that. I remember, y'all remember y'all childhood. Y'all remember 3-way? You remember 3-way when you were able to, like, add another person? Remember when you were able to block who you were and call? Remember caller ID? I remember them days. I remember we had a goldfish. He wasn't even a goldfish. He was a silverfish. And he was the last fish. He was the last fish that survived. All the other fishes died. But this daggone goldfish always jumped out of the daggone fish tank. And we would have to run over there and pick him up and put him back in. I remember my mother buying that Venus. I don't know if y'all ever seen it. It's called a Venus flytrap. I think that is the most. A Venus flytrap is just the most weirdest thing to me. It's a plant that eats. So the plant, you know, plants are alive, but it just, I don't know. I remember my brother putting nail polish on it. I remember when I was younger, we used to play, whoever went to bed first, you got toothpaste. And you know, toothpaste like all in your eyes, your face, all that, toothpaste. And I remember me and my cousin, we super glued my brother's toes together and my sister's toes together. My mother yelled at us. There was other stuff too, I remember. Like when I was younger, we just had a good time. We had a really good time. Kickball, dodgeball was the thing. Like dodgeball, kickball, football was the thing. What was another game? I mean, we had, and then you had, you always got joned on. Like when I was young, I always got joned on. Like I got joned on a lot. Like people used to just jone on me. Look at your daggone shoes, man. Like they'll just be joning on you, you know. And I care. My little feelings got hurt, but yeah, I'm glad those days are over. School was okay. You know, the 3rd grade, I didn't like school. I did not freaking like school when I was in the 3rd grade. I remember I felt like my parents was taking me in and out of school, but this one school, you had to get marbles, and the teacher, it was just so bland. It was just so bland. It was just so like, it was really bland. I don't know. Like, what I mean by bland, it was so boring. It was just like, why am I here? And the thing is, when I was in elementary school, my mind would wander. I'll be like, and then my mind would go to something else. And I remember when I was in the 5th grade, I would promise my 5th grade teacher, Mr. T. Jackson, I was like, I promise I'm going to pay attention. And I would go off in La La World. I would just be like, I would just be thinking about other things because it was boring to me. School was freaking boring. It was like, okay, how many books do you want us to read? You want us to go through this and that? You're just ruining my whole imagination here. And when I think about it now, what was so wrong with me just being in La La Land at the time? Just imagining things. You know why? I think as kids are, well, nowadays they're on like electronics and things like that. But I just felt like, I like, as a child, you want to do fun things. Why does everything have to be so like whatever? I personally feel this way. I feel like education is a good thing to learn to read, to write. Nowadays they're not even teaching our kids how to read cursive, which means like, how would you be able to understand the Constitution, But I think that they should definitely do that. But anyway, I really feel like a lot of people stun the imagination of children. You get them so, and also too, you say the education is so you can, better yourself in society. But I mean, sometimes I have mixed feelings about it. I know how important education is because at one point in time, a group of people like the Negroes that they called slaves, they weren't allowed to read and write, and it was a privilege to be able to read and write, and then to know that what this note says that you're carrying in your hand, you may not even know that the note says kill him when he gets there. So it was a privilege to know to read so you can understand your rights and be educated, have the skill and the mindset of an educated person in society. I get it, but sometimes when I look at people and I look at these institutions, these schools, it's only for you to get out of school and graduate from high school, and get a job so they can tax you. I feel like they teach you from day one to get up early in the morning and go to school. And then take your lunch break, just like, they have recess. Take your lunch break like we do. And then after your lunch break, the better part of the day, you still doing work. And then you go home. And it's the same with the 9 to 5 thing. You know what I mean? With the 8 to 5 thing. I really do feel like that. And, if I had it like that right now, I would definitely take my daughter out of school and have private tutoring and travel lots. I really would, because the education system is a hot daggone mess. But when I was in school, they used to have things like DARE. They had police officers that came to your school and talked to you. Nowadays, you just don't know what the freak they're teaching your kids up in there. You have to really pay attention to what they're trying to push down their throats. And trying to better yourself, to position yourself in a better position that, you can do more for your child other than this systematic way. But that's just my thought on it. I mean, no, that's my thoughts on and my view on it. It is, because the minute you graduate from school, if you go completely into the workforce, you are contributing into society. The government loves that because they get money from you. Good. I start to realize that the more money you make, the more money certain things may want to take. And it doesn't even matter if you make less money. The government gets a part of that. So then you ask yourself this question, well, why they say, well, this is for you to help create the society that you live in. But y'all making bigger things and you spending unnecessary money and driving the street and all that. That's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother subject. But you get my drift, though, right? You get my drift, right? So remember when YouTube was at the height of its thing, where people were getting paid for, monitoring their videos. Then all of a sudden, government said, if you making over $600, we want a piece of that action. You make it 600, you supposed to give us $400 for that, sir. Well, daggone it, am I a slave? Am I a slave? No, you're not. You're not. He who borrows from the lender becomes the slave to the lender. That's what the Bible says. I don't know, but you gotta ask yourself, what is it all for? If you can't enjoy your life, like even when I look back at that at 40 years old, in the 4th grade and the 5th grade, why couldn't I go out and play at that time? Why did I have to sit there in that, when that was 3rd grade? Why did I have to sit there in that boring class? If I could take that back to times, I would have been better off at the playground having fun. Because I can't even remember what was going on then. Another time, another world. But you know what? Back then was a different world. It really was. It was a different place to go out and play. It was just a different world. Oh, it really was. Everything was about excellence too. Achieving excellence, being proud, and I did like that part. I like that part. Yeah, we had a blast when we were young. What is that, a rabbit? That daggone rabbit. I remember years ago, every time I see a rabbit, you know what I think about? I think about when my grandmother would say, I'm going to catch that rabbit and put it in a pot. Oh, they making a back room. Look, I'm all nosy. What y'all doing back there? They making a back room. I can make a back there. I can expand my house if I wanted to. But you know what? I plan on doing it. Why not? Gotta get out of this ruckus. My neck. I need to go to a chiropractor. I need to go to somebody that's gonna be that's gonna reset this. Anyway, I'm home. I'm so happy I'm home. It is 10 o'clock. I'm home. I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. I forgot to leave that guy's card. Oops. I'm going to sleep in tomorrow, and I don't want no bad news. I don't want to be woken up. All right. All right, Mama. Let's get out. Who left that daggone dog outside? Oh, that's somebody walking the dog. I'm proud you hear that dog. I miss my dog Solo. Solo was something. But you know what? No, I miss him. I do miss Solo. So, but my cats are snake. Those cats know they're not supposed to be upstairs. And you know what they do? They go in my room. And when I get up, they go dashing out the door. Not only are you not supposed to be upstairs, but you're not supposed to be in my bedroom. And they do it to taunt me. They do it like it's a hide and seek game. Like, she don't know. I can see them two right now. Come on, let's go sneak in her room. And they be looking at each other like, she don't know we under the bed. And as soon as I get up, they'll both go dashing downstairs. And I'll be like, girls, I'll be like, like they just, I love my cats, but they just some naughty cats, man. I call them boss cats. Because as soon as I go to this door, I guarantee you they're going to be waiting at the door like dogs. And they wait just as nicely and calmly. And my mother said, they don't say that. They don't do anything. My mother tell me they don't do what they do. They don't do what they do to her, what they do to me. Like with her, they be like, you know, well, we not gonna say nothing because we know that the older lady, she's just not, she's gonna ignore um mama's getting the house. As soon as I walk through the door, meow, 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 meow. And then Faith is, she hits her tail like, and then when I look at her, when I look her in the face, she go, like she really do, like she does this thing like, when you have cats and pets long enough, you telepathically, you kind of know, not kind of, you know what they're saying. So when I look at her in her face and she go, it's like saying, you better go downstairs and fill up them bowls. So I'd be like, oh, goodness, Faith, who you think you're talking to? And she keep going. And my mother be like, oh, Faith thinks she's doing something, sitting up here hitting her tail against something, like, I'm going to get your attention whether you like it or not. And so I told y'all what I did when they was getting on my nerves. I went upstairs, I went to the Dollar Tree and I got me some water guns. And so I keep one in the bathroom, couple downstairs. But sometimes I'll be too tired to shoot. I just be like, you know what? Whatever. Whatever. Because at one point in time when I was spraying them, they would go flying down them steps. Because you know, cats don't like to get their fur wet. And Faith would be licking her fur after it's wet, like, oh, that didn't do nothing, honey. I'm going to get a bazooka on her, one of them soakers. Just wait for her to hit that corner. She be looking like that didn't do anything to me, honey. You better recognize that didn't do a damn thing to me. A daggone thing. So, let me get my keys. Where are my keys? Oh. That's one thing about these push start cars. You just can't be leaving your keys anywhere. Remember, I like leaving my key in the ignition so I can pull it out of the ignition. And you be looking for it. I bet you I walk in here and my daughter on that daggone iPad. She's a little night owl. When I was her age, I was a night owl. I would stay up. And I remember one time, I used to try to stay up so much to see if I can stay up without not going to sleep. Because I didn't want to miss nothing. I wanted to see all the shows while everybody was sleeping. I was up. I felt like I had something to prove. When I look back, I should have took my young behind to bed. Y'all know something strange. I looked out my back window and I saw Fox go out the gate. I said, what was his tail doing in here? I said, the things you see around the way, you see a fox going out, a daggone turtle trying to cross the street, snakes in the bushes. All right, y'all, let me get my stuff. I really don't feel like getting out the daggone car just to get in the car. Getting out of the car to get in the car. You ever been so tired you don't even feel like moving? You just like, let me just think. All right, let me get my stuff. I gotta see my baby. I want to go somewhere. Oh. There. I got my suitcase. All right, Mama, let's go. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to relax. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to relax tonight and come up with a game plan, come up with a treasure map so I can get rich and relax on the beach. On the beach. I'm going to have to like rewrite my life, revamp. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make my request known to God and write out all the things that I want to do and how I need to change the path that I'm on because I'm just exhausted. I mean, yeah. So that's what I plan to do. So I have this really cool book. It's like a journal book. I'm going to write stuff down. In order for you to change your paradigm, in order for you to change your path, you have to change your mindset, but you have to, faith and action go together. You have to do something different. You have to go down a different path. You have to do something different. You have to go somewhere different. Think different. Or you're going to be in the same old thing. And in my case, I'm 40 years old, okay? And I got to make sure within the next 3 years I change what I'm doing to be comfortable because I'm 10 years from being 50, baby. And I'm not going to be sitting up here, you know. I'm just not. Anyway, that's just another thing. But honestly, it's about having fun, too. You know. Having fun. I need I need to make sure, too, I'm going back to church. I haven't been in church in so long, y'all. And I need to take my baby. It seemed like every weekend she was getting sick. But we're going to try to see if we can make it into church this weekend. But it's just that church is 45 minutes away, too. Oh, but, you know, you got to have a middle ground. So you have to have balance. If whatever you're doing is consuming too much and it's overworking you and tiring you, it's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be that way. Some people think they have to work that way. And it's not supposed to be that way. It's not. Anyway, I need to learn from my own whatever I'm saying. I need to really practice what I'm preaching. Oh gosh, now the rain is really coming down. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going in the garage. I'm going in the garage. I'm not going to sit up here and struggle. Y'all have a good night.